Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This, I believe, is one of the most important topics that you need to pay attention to. Very, very crucial. Warren Buffett says the number one rule of investing is never lose money. And the number two rule is never forget number one. All right. So he's trying to actually put it forward to us, saying that the most important thing when it has to do with investing is to ensure that you don't lose your money, is to ensure that your capital is preserved. That's what he's saying. So he gave us two rules specifically focused on capital preservation. Because I can boldly tell you that it is better not to invest than to invest and lose your money. Are you with me? It is better to use your money and buy ice cream than to invest and lose your money. Yes. So the reason why we are learning this and the reason why I strongly believe this is the most important topic of this course is because this will determine if you will make money or you will lose money. Of course, there's risk. The price of a particular share can just depreciate. All right. Maybe by 5%, maybe by 2%, maybe by 1%. All right. We need to be very, very accurate when it has to do with analyzing a company's shares. All right. So this is part A. Basically, we'll be doing only discussions, but the part B of this particular topic will be going through the is it the tough waters now. All right. We'll be looking at financial statements, we'll be looking at traded values and a couple of other things. But for now, let's carefully understand certain things. All right. Now, let's get right into it. No long talk. Let's get right into it, and then ensure that we are following. We need to ensure that we are following. All right. So let's go. Let's go. The first and most important thing is you need to find a company that makes profit. All right. So we said understand how the company makes profit. If the company is not making profit, it's a company that you should run away from, because there's literally no way their share price can appreciate if they don't make profit. Their share price cannot increase if they are not making profit. They can't pay dividend if they are not making profit. And this is the only two way that you can actually make profit from the stock exchange market. If they are not making profit, nothing. You can't, their share price can appreciate, they're not making profit, and they can't pay dividend if they are not making profit. How would they pay dividend when they are not making profit? Is that okay? So the most important thing is to ensure that you find a company that is making profit and you understand how they are making profit. What are they selling? What is the product that they are selling? All right. Now let's continue. A business you understand that has a record of profit and can grow over time. A business you understand, it has a record of profit. All right. Remember, they must be making profit. Never forget this one. They must be. If they are not making profit, just dump them. They must be making profit. At least they should be making profit, and they can grow over time. All right. What's the possibility that this particular company will still be in existence in the next 2 years, in the next 5 years, and they can actually establish themselves into more locations? All right. So it is very, very so important. So important. If they are not making profit and if they can't grow, just debunk the company. There are over hundreds of companies that you can select from. Is that okay? Good. So number two, invest in a company that will likely last forever. Let me give you an example of a company that will likely last forever. I love to use Coca-Cola as an example. Yes, I love to use Coca-Cola as an example. Let me give you another company, Apple. You know the Apple company? Yes, that produce iPhone and Apple watches, whatever gadgets, electronic gadgets, stuffs like that. Okay, now these guys are so focused on technology, such that any technological advancement, they want to key into it and ensure that they are one of the leading companies when it has to do with technology. Is that okay? So this is a company that likely will last forever. Nothing will actually last forever, but you should use your discretion and understand that the word last forever is actually indicative of the fact that they can last for a very long time. All right. So a company that will likely last forever. They sell a unique product. Yes, just as I've given an example, Coca-Cola, just as I've given an example, Apple. All right, their product is unique. You can't say you want to um produce an iPhone. You can't do that. Nobody can literally do that. You can't say you want to produce a phone that is called maybe Infinix, no, or maybe Techno, or maybe Samsung. You can't do that. You cannot produce. So they have a unique product, a unique brand, and they have loyal customers. All right. they sell a unique product that people need. All right, very, very important. If people don't need what they are selling, debunk the company. Is that okay? And have an illicit brand and loyal customers. There are so many thousands of people loyal to companies like Coca-Cola. There are thousands of people loyal to companies like Apple. So many people are still waiting for iPhone. Is it 18 or 19 now? iPhone. You will get, oh, we'll get to iPhone 40 one of these days because they have loyal customers. It doesn't matter. Their product will sell. So it has to be a company that has loyal customers. Let me give you another example. MTN Nigeria. Although MTN Nigeria is not a Nigerian company, all right, it's not exactly in the owner is not exactly a Nigerian, but they have loyal customers that are Nigerians that are not willing to actually leave the company. Why? Because of good services. So they've built that trust over time and then they've secured loyal customers. In fact, currently I'm using MTN and I'm enjoying it. I prefer it to all other telecommunication brand, and because I enjoy it and then their service is good, so I am their loyal customer. So if you have a particular company that has loyal customers as these, it is a company that you need to pay attention to. It doesn't mean you go straight and buy their shares, but you just pay attention to them and then compare and contrast them with other factors. All right, so let's move forward. Look for companies with monopolistic tendencies. That is a company that are in an industry where they are not so much let me give you an example. They are not so much open to how will I put it now? Okay, let me just define monopoly first. Monopoly is actually um when a particular company is in charge of an entire industry. Okay, let me give you an example. Let's say the PHCN, the Power Holding Company of Nigeria. All right, you almost can't establish another power company in a particular location where the power holding company of Nigeria is actually active and in effect. Like they actually, let's assume in Abuja now, PHCN is actually in charge. You can't introduce another power holding company. Are you there? So looking at companies that actually have monopolistic tendencies is companies that are in charge of a particular industry. They have to be the boss. They have to be the leaders of that particular industry. So they have monopolistic tendencies. So nobody can come in and then start competing with them, start dragging land with them, start dragging capacity with them because they have grown so large that you can't just come in from nowhere and then tear them down. All right. Now, high barriers to entry. High barriers to entry is also related to the monopolistic tendency that I'm talking about. All right. So, an industry whereby it is an industry, high barriers to entry actually communicates an industry where um, people don't have access to enter anyhow. Let me give you an example. Or the if you want to enter, it's actually expensive. Let me give you an example. You can't establish a telecommunication brand just like that. Not in Nigeria. You can't do it. That's why you see the telecommunication brand are very few. First of all, because the cost of establishing it is very, very high. The cost is very, very high. And then you need to go about certain regulatory requirements. Very, 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 very important. All right. So you are not giving license, you are not giving permission to actually establish it you can't do it anyhow because it's expensive. Where do you want to see the money? So telecommunication industry is actually one that has a very high barrier to entry. All right, you can't enter the industry anyhow. So if you are looking at um industries, you can consider telecommunication. Another one is transportation. I'm giving you examples. I'm giving you example of industry that has high barrier to entry. Transportation, transportation, um especially when it has to do with air transportation. So some of these airline company are very, very crucial to take note of when it has to do with high barriers to entry. How much do you want to get a plane? A plane is so expensive. One plane is so expensive. Talk more of having 5, 10 planes in a particular airline. All right, is that okay? So okay, we said and with low competitors, the currently the Nigerian telecommunication industry has, I think, about five, is it five? Glo, Airtel, MTN and Etisalat. just 4. All right. So the competition is not too high. The competition is not too high. The country is wide enough for each particular for every of the brand to actually establish themselves. Is that okay? So the competition is there, but the competition is not so high. All right, it's not so high compared to what we are seeing now in the food industry. All right, it's not so high. So the fourth one, which is actually the last one, is invest in a company that the cost of expansion is not too high. Very, very important. All right. Now, let me give you an example. An airline company, a company that does a transportation company. All right, a company in the transportation industry. Is that okay? For them to actually expand, for them to expand is very, very expensive. For them to expand is very, very expensive. So they will put together their profits for years before they can actually expand, especially to international locations. It's very, very expensive for expansion. I'm not saying they are not good to actually buy shares with them. In fact, that shares can actually easily rise. But the truth is, expansion is quite difficult. So they are stuck within where they are at certain moment in time. And when they attempt to expand, it's very expensive. So companies that actually have expensive is it expansion? Yes. If they want to expand, it's so expensive. It's not going to be easy for expansion. Now, remember the first thing we highlighted is that the company must be able to expand. It must be able to expand. Expansion should not be hard for it. If expansion is hard for it, then it's something that you should consider as a red flag. All right. So some of these things that we've looked at, you should highlight them at least out of these four. A strong company should at least should have strong standings two strong standings, at least two. A score, that's the least that you can actually go for. All right, what you are looking for is the four. They must have the four. If they don't have the four, then you should avoid them. But if they have three, it's good, but at least it should be two. And all this is actually dependent on part B that we are going to be seeing in a moment of time. All right, all these are dependent on what will be seen in part B. All right, so the part B will actually capture um we'll be looking at the real financial statement of certain companies. All right, the real financial statement of certain company, will be looking at how much are they making at profit within the period of 3 months. All right, we'll be using 3 months as a base. All right, how much did they make in the last 3 months compared to last year? So they have to be making consistent profit. So that's what we'll be looking at next. For this class, ensure that you got something. Ensure that you got something, because this is very important. It's better to know what you are doing when it has to do with investing than to invest blindly and lose money. It is better to not to even invest than to invest and lose money. All right, so take note of this, please. It is very, very, very important. Okay, I see you in the part B of this particular topic.